What you think, Fred? All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while. But
Every now and then we'll kind of.
he was already here right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah. that is
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special draft day edition of Open Book here on Game On Wisconsin. Everyone tuning in, getting ready for the draft. I hope you're excited. I know we are. I'm joined here by our wonderful producer, Andrew. We are expecting Zach and Jen at some point. We'll see. Maybe yes, maybe no. That's the excitement of draft day. But Andrew, I see you're rocking. What is that? A Clay Matthews jersey?
Yep, Clay Matthews. I figured I haven't worn it in a long time, actually, because during the season I was that Randall Cobb jersey was getting its every Sunday. That was the jersey that was getting taken out. So I figured I'd take Clay out. Former first rounder. So hopefully it'll send some good vibes our way for tonight.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know why. I guess because it's 6:30 Central, and I should be used to this by now. But I honestly thought it was going to be 6:30 in LA. So then I was like, oh my God, the show's in like a half hour, and I was just like in the middle of doing some other stuff. So I'm wearing my special ripped elbow.
Nice.
This hoodie's about 20 years old, been passed down through the family, so it has some good luck, or maybe bad luck. We'll find out how the night goes. But Andrew, heading into this draft, I mean, let's just get right to it. Obviously, the Packers have 2 picks. There's been a million rumors, trading up, trading down. They're going for this guy. They're going for that guy. Like, what's just your general thoughts going in to the draft before we add this menace? Oh, he joined me. What a jerk. I was going to add you in. I was going to lead you in. Oh, good. He can't hear us. Zach, what a putz.
I'm having technical difficulties.
Yeah, clearly. Perfect timing for that.
Hold on. Okay, let me leave and then come back, and then we're gonna get this shit rolling. Back. Okay. I mean, you guys already did. You guys already got it rolling.
Yeah,
I'm gonna join the rolling.
Roll.
Okay, be right back.
But yeah, Andrew. So, like, what do you think? Do you think they're gonna go with 2 picks tonight? It's gonna be one. They're gonna trade up,
I was just talking with quite a few people, especially at work early in the morning, because obviously none of us are in that war room with them. We don't know what they've had up their sleeve, what they've been thinking for the last however many months. But I strongly feel that if they do really want to prioritize wide receiver in the first round, I definitely won't be shocked seeing us only take 1 pick in the first round and using one of those other first rounders to help us move up, whether that be, I know there's the rumors that Washington wants to get out of 11. I'm sure there's other teams as well, but yeah, I see it. If they want to receive, if they really want a receiver, say they really have their eyes set on someone like Chris Olave or whatever. I do see them picking only once tonight, which, I think either way, I'm totally okay with it. I also see if we have two picks, I very much could see that be, say, offensive line and then another player on the defense. I know safety's a position they got to start thinking about, because who knows if Amos will re-sign if they give him a deal. Same with Darnell Savage. So there's a lot of unknowns there. So
are they the starting safeties for the Packers, Amos and Savage?
I don't know.
Well, first things first, this is a crazy room because it's a draft war room, and I know I'm going to pay things up because, I just moved in here, Chris, so cut me some slack. But you should know, I'm not in my normal Packer room, but the last few weeks, there's been Packers memorabilia around, so let's all relax. But also, Chris, I don't want to see this happen. I mean, I don't have to go into it, but I really, and not even because it's offensive line, but him in specific, a bit too old, someone I watched a bit, not a huge fan of. But Zach, let's get your opinion. So yeah, I'm kind of with Andrew, honestly. If they want one of those top 4, which is Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, or Drake London, I don't think any of them fall to 22 at this point. The hype just seems to be too much for all of them. So, Zach, what are your thoughts going into the draft? What do you think they're going to do? What do you want to see them do? All that.
What I think they're going to do? Oh, I feel like the Packer thing to do is they're going to take either an edge rusher or a safety at 22, and then from 28, they're going to trade out of the first round. And, maybe it's more like that's more like a Ted Thompson thing to do now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But they'll probably they'll take an edge rusher or a safety, either Louis Sign or George Karlaftis. I know I butchered those names, but either one of those guys.
I think you had it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
at least George Karlaftis. That's how I would say his name. So
I don't know if it's. I think I've seen, not sign, but it could go either way. So.
Yeah. Shit, that's a first. Wow, I can't believe I nailed that.
Well, at least you didn't say Jameis, but yeah, go ahead.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up, but yeah, I think they'll do something like that and then trade out of the first round. And then I think on Friday, that's when I feel like they'll probably address the receiver position. And we've kind of seen that rumor floated around a little bit, which again could be a little bit of a smokescreen from Packers media and stuff. So personally, I would take George Pickens at 22 and Travis Jones, the defensive lineman, at 28. I know people are thinking like George Pickens might be there at 28 regardless. So you don't need to really reach at 22 for him, but that 6-spot difference I feel like isn't really worth it to sit there and be like, oh, maybe he'll fall to 28. It's six spots. Go get your guy. If you think he's your guy and you want him that badly, go get him. He's right there. Like that's someone that is going to step right in day one and become like your wide receiver 1, your wide receiver 2. He's going to be getting starting snaps. He is like the alpha receiver of this class, I feel like. And they need that. I know I've tweeted this so many times, but he is like the dog. Like you need
I love him.
I
love it. I love so many of the clips of him just going at guys, even if he knows the ball ain't coming to him. Exactly. He's just going at that defensive back in front of him.
You need that bully. Devontae Adams was more like he wasn't a bully. He was more like a finesse.
He was more like, I'm going to bust your ass just in a different way.
he'll bully you with his feet. He's going to bully you with how he beats you. But George Pickens will literally like smack your shit up. Yeah. And they need a guy like that. But that's what I think they'll do versus what I would do. Really, I feel like it's just so up in the air that it's hard to predict what the hell they're going to do this year.
Yeah. When you have 2 picks and it's the year that it is, when you're looking at every year for the Packers, it's like a win now mode, but we all know obviously now that's really, really win now. And it could go, I could see them trading up like Andrew mentioned and end up with 1 pick in the first round and it being Jameson Williams or Olave. And I could also see them sit at 22 and 28 and not take a receiver and end up with a tackle and a safety, or a tackle and a defensive tackle. So like you said, it's so hard to predict what they're going to do. But like, at least for me, like if I was saying what I would want to see them do, I would rather, the truth is, like you said, I think George Pickens almost certainly falls to 22. So let's say the top 4 are gone, but Pickens is there. Like you said, Zach, like I don't see the reason to wait around. The last time that happened, it was with, Justin Jefferson and Brandon Ayuk. We all know how that went. Like if you like him, you take him right there. And then at 28, if you could get a guy like Seen or Travis Jones, or I happen to be a huge fan of Jalen Petrie out of Baylor.
Yes.
I think like he would be such a good box safety in Joe Barry's defense. Like for me, like when I watch Petrie, like he is like maybe my favorite defensive back, like fit for the Packers defense right now. So any of that, I would love a Pickens and a defensive tackle or Pickens and a safety. But I also would obviously be extremely excited to see them actually trade up and get one of those top 4 receivers. And maybe I'm wrong, and I want to hear your.
Or they could trade it for Kyle Hamilton.
Well, yeah, as you tweeted, Zach, which would be pretty funny if that happens, only because you tweeted it. But
I had what was it? Oh, Kyle. He sent me a mock draft that he did, and he mocked Kyle Hamilton to the Vikings, and I was like, that will absolutely pain me if I have to watch them pick him.
No,
that's their future Harrison Smith replacement.
Exactly. That's what I said. I was like, you talk about 2 Notre Dame defensive backs that I'll instantly hate.
No, I don't want to see that at all. But out of let's go into the scenario of kind of, let's say like this, because we did see this, and who knows if it's real or not. But let's say the Packers do trade up into the 15 range and are looking at one of those top 4 receivers. How would you rank Jameson Williams, obviously keeping in mind the ACL, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Drake London? Andrew, like if let's say all 4 are on the board and they traded up inside that top 15, who would be the guy like, this is who I want? If we're trading up and we're taking 1 pick tonight, this is the receiver I want.
All right. So, and this is just my opinion, I'm going to go Olave, then London, Wilson, and Williams. The only reason Williams is number 4 is because of that injury. I don't necessarily see Green Bay as a team who is willing to move up for a receiver like that who is rehabbing off an injury. So
trust my bro.
So that's just my take on it. And I obviously all 4 are very, very good. Wilson, just as talented of a receiver, or as close to Olave, but Olave's route running is just insane.
Yeah. So Zach, how would you rank those 4 for you?
Are you talking like in terms of just like talent, or like their fit with like the Packers, like right out of the gate?
I mean, look, when you say right out of the gate, it obviously makes it harder for Williams to be considered at the top.
That's why.
But so I'm assuming what you're saying is, if you're saying pure talent, you would go Williams. So why don't you, unless I'm wrong?
I would, yeah.
Okay, so let's go with who you would see as an immediate day 1 fit, who you would go with. So I guess the other 3.
All right, yeah, okay. And then in that case, Williams would be on the bottom. As far as fits go, yeah. Olave 1, London 2nd, Wilson 3. Okay. I love Garrett Wilson. I never saw him as like a realistic target throughout this entire draft cycle, just because he was always like perceived as like one of the top guys. It was always like him and Jameson Williams and then Drake London as like the 3 top guys of the class. And I know everyone's worried about Drake London's like size and his lack of separation and everything, but I mean, a guy like that, he high points everything. He wins with physicality. He's gonna, like, kind of like George Pickens, he's gonna bully the shit out of defenders. He's he's gonna win. And Matt LaFleur, you don't need to worry about separation with guys in Matt LaFleur's offense. He's going to scheme guys open, scheme them into space, and he'll do the same thing with Drake London. Chris Olave, Andrew, as you mentioned, he's an insane route runner. He's just a technician. He's like an instant day 1 starter. He's going to come right in and just contribute right out of the gate. So yeah, that's how I would rank them. Now, it's tough to say, because I would personally be fine trading up for Jameson Williams, knowing he has the injury. Assuming that they don't trade, that other 1st round pick, like if they can use some of their other picks to trade up, then that opens up a scenario where you can trade up for Jameson Williams and still get George Pickens.
Yeah.
Then in that case, that's like some kind of like a total pants off scenario. Like, I will not wear pants.
That South Park meme
with Randy, where he's like,
exactly, yeah, literally,
a spooky ghost is here. This is all ectoplasm.
Yeah. So yeah, but I'm with you on that. But it's funny because I think we all have different rankings on the 4. I mean, I agree. Talent, pure, with removing the injury, I would have Williams 1. If you want to talk day 1, you got to put Williams 4. But I would actually go Olave, Wilson, London. And I don't know. Look, I would in no way be upset if London ended up on the Packers in any way. But I do think Olave and Wilson might just be better fits in the LaFleur offense. Like you said, Zach, like I think a lot of people who are crying about the separation thing with London, as you said, this isn't Mike McCarthy's offense where you need to create your own separation. LaFleur will get guys open, but I just happen to think Garrett Wilson can maybe just excel really well in this offense. But I do think this from Chris is an interesting question, because like, I know it seems unlikely, and I think there's maybe like a 10 to 15% chance it happens, but with all these reports coming out saying he would be, no question, the highest graded quarterback in this class. It's a bad QB class. There are some QB needy teams. Like, you just gave Rodgers the extension. I just feel like his value will never be higher than for the next 48 hours, in my opinion. So we'll start with you, Zach. Like, do you think there's any chance, any scenario in which that happens? in which Jordan Love is traded?
I don't think so. I think they're invested in him, and they've said that so many times by now that it's just kind of like drilled in our heads at this point that they want him around, and they know Aaron Rodgers is getting older, and yeah, he's taken less hits, and the offense he plays in is designed to keep him upright. But at the same time, you still need that backup insurance. And yeah, they love Kurt Bankert and everything, but you invested a first round pick in Jordan Love, and I don't think you're going to ditch him after 2 years. If you can get a first round pick, or I mean, not a first round pick, but a second round pick for him, then I think it's something that they probably explore. It depends what they're hearing. Because me personally, I would do it if they're getting a second round pick from another team. Then yeah, I would absolutely do it. I don't think it's something that they're realistically gonna end up doing. They're invested in his development.
Andrew, what do you think?
I think I have to agree.
That's unfortunate.
Because I mean, we keep, they're still in this win now, which yes, they're not to mean that it's this or nothing. Like they're still gonna, no matter what happens, there's still gonna be pieces around, obviously. But I agree that if there's something like an early second round pick that a team, say the Falcons or whoever, wants to offer, I think I would have to side with taking it.
Yeah,
because I do think you would be able to have Benkert as your 2 for at least the time being.
Yeah, I think in any scenario, we all know, and I don't even want to say it, but if number 12 for any reason is not the one taking snaps behind center, we're fucked regardless. So, and the only reason I even think there's a remote chance, and again, I put it at 10 to 15%, and that might even be generous, is just because it doesn't seem like they've maybe, at least from some reports I remember, I know I've seen over the last, year and a half-ish, like they just haven't necessarily loved his progression as a quarterback. And it's not like he's had a ton of opportunities to show it. He played in the preseason a little, but then he got hurt. He played against Kansas City. They almost won that game, but I think obviously the defense was really what really almost brought them the win. Love didn't have the greatest game, wasn't the worst game either, but like both of you said, I wouldn't give him away just to give him away. You spent a first-round pick on him. He is, compared to years past, like a backup quarterback, I guess I would hope to feel more I would feel more comfortable with him than Benkert, but I wouldn't feel overly comfortable with him. But it's something. But yeah, if you get a second-round pick, it doesn't even have to be early. Anywhere in the second round, if all of a sudden you're getting, let's say they take 2 guys in the first, or even if they trade up in the first, but if you end up with 3 guys, I know, Chris, a little bit. It's a little bit true. Honestly, there is some truth to it, because I would just like to be able to say, like, fuck you, like you were just wrong. But again, we'll see. But yeah, if you get a second-round pick for him, I think you do it without even really a question, because, like we said, they're in win-now mode, and that's with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. And if they take 2 guys in the first, and then all of a sudden they take 3 guys in the second, and then another, so then they have 6 top 100 players added to their roster. Like, that is a huge bolster of talent into this roster right now. So that would be exciting to see for me. Honestly, I would be down for that.
And we know that the best time to draft a quarterback is like when you don't need one. That's why they drafted Jordan Love to begin with. I think Brian Gutekunst is going to fall. He's going to fall in love with a quarterback probably every year. Now, whether that's going to be in the first round or the second round, the third round, so on, who knows? But there's going to be other prospects that he's enamored with through the years. And they're going to have Aaron Rodgers for at least another 2 years. So, I mean, Jordan Love is going to be playing anytime soon. The time is going to come where they need to figure out, hey, are we going to pick up this kid's 5th-year option, knowing he hasn't played at all? I mean, it's going to be a tough decision for the Packers to make. And, they're going to have very, very little of Love to know, what the hell to gauge, like what he is. They don't know what he is at that point. I mean, I think that time is not next year, I think, is that decision, or is that for the 2019 class?
No, I think after this season, they would have to make the 5th year option.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because this year they have to pick it up on Darnell Savage.
Yeah,
and he was 20. Okay,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they got to make that decision pretty soon, and they're going to have very, very little to go off of. So yeah, he's not going to be playing anytime soon. So that's probably going to weigh into their decision. I mean, I hope they're thinking of that, and knowing that these prospects, these quarterback prospects, are going to come along every single year. There's going to be someone new, someone that you can add to that room. Jordan Love isn't like your one shot at securing the future and prolonging, the success of the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love may or may not be the answer. Who knows? But
yeah, that's what always frustrates me, is that I feel like people are like, well, we used a first round pick on him, and as if like they used the 26th pick, which and it wasn't like he was one of the top guys in the class. I mean, he was one of the top guys, but not the top guys in the class. And like you said, every year, I mean, this is the first year I could remember in a long time that there's like really, like, the quarterback class is just like really not exciting at all. But we all know, and we know next year's class is going to be loaded. And just in general, most years, the Packers will have a chance to go and get someone, whether it's in the 20s or hopefully at 32 at some point in the very near future, or if they have to trade up like they did for Love. But like, quarterbacks come out every single year. And I feel like I've seen on Twitter so many times people are like, you can't trade Love. You spent a first round pick on him. He's the future. And it's like, other guys are going to be there. Quarterbacks come in the draft every single year. So again, I wouldn't trade him for nothing, but if you could get a second rounder for him, I think you do it. But let's move back and focus a bit more just on tonight and on the first round. And let's look, I guess, at that. We all know receiver is kind of what we're looking at on offense, maybe a tackle or a versatile guard, something. But let's look at the defensive side, and maybe someone like Devontae Wyatt, like at 22. Andrew, how would you feel if they went for a defensive tackle at 22?
I wouldn't hate it. I think so many of us have been longing for them to truly have somebody alongside with Kenny. And I'm kind of in that boat of, I'm totally cool with getting somebody to hopefully give someone like Tyler Lancaster less snaps, and have Kenny, a guy like Devontae Wyatt, and then TJ Slaton in rotation, as well as, can't forget about Mean Dean.
Lowry.
So,
Lowry had a good season last year.
Yeah, you can't. So I think that would be a solid core there, right on the inside, one that we haven't had in a little while. So I would be intrigued by it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do like that you mentioned TJ Slaton, because I feel like he kind of goes under the radar, but I
thought in his snaps that he had last season, I was pretty impressed in what I saw out of him. There was not a whole lot of times where you're watching him like, what are you doing? I think that was a lot of times with Lancaster. It's like he's just kind of out there to be out there, and I'm not really seeing him do a whole lot.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of Slaton. I think he could have a really nice career. He's just a monstrous person, so I always like to see that. So Zach, you mentioned Travis Jones, who I like, and at 28 could be a great pick. Would you like, where do you put? I assume you have him behind the Georgia defensive tackles and Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt. And would you rather Jones at 28 or one of the Georgia linemen at 22?
Well, Jordan Davis is at the top. He spearheads that whole position group in this year's class. Let's like, he's the one guy other than Kyle Hamilton and maybe Jameson Williams and Garrett Wilson. Like, if they traded up, that would be like the guy. I'd be like, get him. That guy is a freak.
Yeah.
I'm not as high on Wyatt as some people, and he's also a little bit older than the Packers prefer. So I know, he's probably off their board just because of their preferences. But other than Davis, whoops. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The only two other defensive linemen that I would consider drafting in the first round is Travis Jones and Logan Hall.
Yeah.
But I would love it if they picked either one of those guys, either one of those three guys. Again, not a big fan of Wyatt, but the Packers need a strong pass rush rotation. They can't just have the same, three guys playing the same number of snaps. They brought in Jaron Reed this offseason, but the goal should be keep him off the field as much as possible. You don't want him playing starter snaps. He's at that point in his career where he's probably going to decline a little bit. You're not going to expect a full workload out of him. So, keep him off the field as much as possible. Hope for that second year sophomore jump, not a slump, a jump from TJ Slaton. Dean Lowry, you hope kind of he continues that ascension from last season and builds off of that. They also still have Jack Heflin in there, and there may be one person that I'm forgetting about, but yeah, Jerron Reed. Hopefully, you add Travis Jones and Logan Hall into that room. Something crazy, maybe if they end up with Jordan Davis. You know, I would love a defensive line in addition to that room. You know, we always talk about. I think their last, third round or higher defensive line drafting was Montrevious Adams.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
If I remember correctly.
Year after Kenny Clark, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
2017.
Yes.
Yeah. So, he needs some help in there for sure.
So this is an interesting question, a fun hypothetical. If the Packers were to trade up, Jordan. So again, this probably be again in that top 15. Jordan Davis, Kyle Hamilton, Jameson Williams, or assuming Garrett Wilson over there. So that's really tough. I feel like for me, I'm still like, I just think I think Jameson Williams is the kind of guy that can truly, like, the Packers can win a Super Bowl because of having that kind of speed and explosiveness on the offense. So that would be what I would want to do, even if it means we don't see him for half the season, but knowing he'll be there for the playoff run. But Andrew, of those four, if the Packers were to trade up, who would you go with?
Oh man, my bias might be showing, but I gotta go with Kyle Hamilton. The thought of that defensive back rotation. If I were an NFL offense, I would just be like, "Oh shit!" The minute if they called his name, if I were a defensive or an offensive coordinator, I would just be like, "Well, shit, what are we gonna do?"
Yeah, no, definitely not a bad pick. Hamilton is a beast.
That is a no-fly zone. Like that. That's what that'll turn out to be.
Yeah, you have him with Amos Savage, Jair,
and
Douglas.
That means you can move Darnell in a lot more different places. You know, he doesn't need to be the high safety. He can be the like they like to do with having him as the robber or whatever. So I think that would really give them a lot more versatility defensively.
Yeah. Zach, what do you think?
I'll answer that question and then I'll say what I just read. It's difficult because I'm not choosing between the wide receivers. I'm choosing between Jordan Davis and Kyle Hamilton because I feel like the Packers are still going to be able to get a really good wide receiver that can be a day one starter, like in the second round. I love Jordan Davis, but I think I would be with Andrew here. I think I would pick Kyle Hamilton, just that game-changing safety, and knowing what the contractual situation with Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos going into next season. I think the only safety that'll be under contract is Vernon Scott. So they need to kind of fortify that room a little bit. There. Yeah. Hey, respect number 36, okay?
Yeah, that's not a dig at it. That's not a complete dig at it. That's just
it is a good point.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton would be a monster, and I'm team safety, as everyone knows. So
I mean, I'm not even too concerned about it, but I just know it was definitely a storyline. The fact that he ran, I believe it was a 4.59, which was tied for the slowest among safeties, but his play speed seems to be a lot quicker than that.
I was going to say there was so many times, like, say again when they played the Badgers or even I can't remember if it was when they were playing Cincinnati or someone like Virginia or whatever, Notre Dame. And there was just a number of plays that I saw when I would watch them last season where he's on the one end of the sideline and he can tell where the quarterback's going to go with the ball. And he runs all the way to the other end and makes the play. And that was on more than one occasion. So I think, like you said, his play speed is, we shouldn't judge it all on the 40 time. Yes, the 40 time should be a little bit concerning, but I still believe in him as a really, really good safety.
And at the safety position, it is all about the angles. It's all about, I don't know if you guys remember Taylor Maines, but he was such a damn good safety at USC. His biggest issue was not taking the proper angles. When he got to the league, he was terrible taking angles on identifying what was happening in front of him. I don't think that'll be Kyle Hamilton's issue. And like you said, too, it'll allow the Packers to get more creative with Darnell Savage. He can play closer to the line of scrimmage where he's 10 times better, get
Let
in
him
that
blitz
robber
more.
role,
If that's
have him
what they
blitz
want to
more,
do.
more effective in the run game. So many different things.
Yeah, that's why in general I really would love to see them go, whether it's with one of their first round picks or second round picks, with a safety that can either be a box safety or a deep safety, allowing either Amos or Savage to go into the box, because we know Barry loves to play three safeties, and that would give them that versatility, which kind of leads me to my next question, because I've been seeing, I feel like every mock draft I've seen in the last week has Quay Walker or some middle linebacker ending up on the Packers, which every year it's like, we got to get middle linebacker. We never do it. Now we have Devondre Campbell, who's an all-pro. We give him a 5-year extension, and all of a sudden everyone's saying Packers should add another middle linebacker, which to me is it's a bit confusing, to be honest. I don't know if I would be like infuriated by it, depending on who else is on the board, but I'm definitely confused as to why it is all of a sudden becoming a thing in this last week. Zach, what are your thoughts on potentially Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Chad Muma? Love saying that name, but like, why do you think people are even thinking about middle linebacker with Devondre Campbell and knowing Joe Barry does not play a lot of two middle linebacker?
Well, last year, Chris Barnes played over 50% of the defensive snaps. So it depends if he wants to up that number going into year two under Joe Barry. So even then, 50% is like a lot. I think it was like 52%. I'm not sure. But if he wants to like up that number and get, as Iowa Joe said here, if he wants to give Devondre Campbell like a permanent running mate and play with two linebackers a lot more, then, it could be something that they're considering. So, I could see it, especially when you consider Devondre Campbell's age. He's getting older. Yeah, they just signed him to the extension, but you want a guy that can be groomed in the meantime and eventually just kind of take over. So, and having fresh bodies and having a rotation isn't a bad thing at all. And another thing too, I mean, Chris Barnes isn't like a game-changing linebacker. If you can upgrade at that position and upgrade at any of the spots on your defense, then I think you have the opportunity to do it, then you pounce on it.
Yeah, I hear that, Andrew. I mean, what are your thoughts on? I mean, it's funny how it seems like the top two guys, or maybe not the top two, but two of the top, for sure, 3 to 5, are Georgia middle linebackers in Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. But when I was asking the question, it didn't seem like you were totally sold on the idea of adding another middle linebacker.
Yeah, I mean it's tempting to me, but I still think I would rather use it elsewhere, that pick elsewhere somewhere on the team, whether that's offensive line or edge. I mean, I've really liked a lot of the mocks with and it's not necessarily a lot of the quote unquote draft experts, just some of like those, just other fan ones that people create. And I really enjoyed like say George Karlaftis or whatever, someone like that. I think I would rather them go that route, but I do agree that Barnes seems more of a rotational guy and probably would be a good idea to get someone or get someone to be Devondre's running mate or sidekick, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not quite sold on using a day one pick on it.
Yeah, that's why I think, honestly, if you went with one of the safeties, you could essentially either make that guy or Savage or Amos Campbell's running mate, and then you just got that speed in the middle of the defense, which is great. And we know, like, Adrian Amos is very comfortable playing in the box. He's a terrific tackler, and he has, he's not super fast, but he's not definitely faster than the average middle linebacker. So I would also prefer to see a safety than a middle linebacker. But then going back to the edge talk, and real quick, as the draft is getting started, Jaguars are about to go on the clock. But yeah, I personally would love to see an edge rusher get drafted, and George Karlaftis is one of the guys I'm really into. Another guy that I feel like everyone's kind of talking, like, feels like he's going a bit under the radar, but like a high second round pick is Arnold Ebiketie out of Penn State, who I personally like. I would take him at 28. Like, if they got a receiver at 22 or whatever, it doesn't make a difference if they did at 22. But I would take Ebiketie at 28. I think he's super talented.
Well, and then there's also who's that USC guy? Drake
Jackson.
Drake Jackson. That's right. I know I was hearing stuff the other day that sounds like he might be getting more traction to be a very early day 2 or late day 1. So that's another guy that sounds interesting there. But I very much would like the George Karlaftis. That I think he would be great because it's kind of drafting for the now because he would be in rotation, but also more so drafting for the future because that's almost what they did with their Rashawn Gary pick. And I'm not trying to make the direct correlation there, but it's kind of what it would be like in terms of he would be the number 3 that they get. They get in rotation, start to learn behind Gary and Preston Smith. So I would enjoy them exploring edge in the first round, especially if they did keep their 2 picks in the first round.
And they love playing with 3 outside linebackers. Like you said, that rotation. They loved having Rashawn and both of the Smiths on the field at the same time. Rashawn
and they very much enjoyed when they got Whitney Merciless. They didn't waste any time getting him accustomed to playing with the defense. So
he played like a few days after he was signed. That was crazy, which you can do with veterans like that. But I would love my guy. You mentioned George Karlaftis. That was like my one of my predictions for who they would pick. And also, as you mentioned, Drake Jackson. The Packers love USC edge rushers. We saw Clay Matthews, Nick Perry,
yeah.
And they met with Drake Jackson. So there's a sense of interest there. Granted, they meet with a ton of fucking people, but they met with Drake Jackson. So there's a sense of interest there. And, I would personally love it if they just didn't pick an edge rusher until the second round. And maybe then they trade up for Drake Jackson because in every mock that I ever did, he lasted until the 50s.
Yeah.
I was able to grab him at 53,
Okay.
but now since then, his stock has kind of risen a little bit. So I don't see him lasting that long. But again, we know nothing because it's the draft and everything is up in the air.
Yeah, as you just said, the draft, the commissioner, Roger Goodell, just walked on stage. Looks like with Darren Waller, maybe, boom, right now, traded to the Packers. That's what's about to happen. I'm just happy that I did not see Devontae Adams on the stage right now because that would just kind of make me sad. But everyone,
I have news that could spoil the first pick.
Oh well, don't. Oh, now I want. I don't know.
I could do it for you guys, and I can ruin it for everybody watching right now.
Ooh, you know what? I'm kind of curious, but I don't know. Maybe some of the viewers would like to be kept in suspense, so we'll keep that a secret, at least for now. Is it? I'm saying, is it? Oh, you're really tempting me here.
Is it? All right, Zach. Can I ask you? Is it like the obvious? Is it obvious?
No.
Is it?
Oh. No, okay. Yeah, I think you got to say it now.
All right, fine. An NBA reporter, Shams, he tweeted it. He said he's hearing whispers that the number 1 overall pick in the draft will be Trayvon Walker.
Wow. So his stock, like I remember like doing some mocks where he was going in the mid-teens, and then like overnight he was a top 5 pick. Like I don't know what happened, but he just became a top 5 pick really fast.
He started being mocked at that first overall. I've seen so many dudes. There's Ike Ekwonu being mocked at 1, Evan Neal being mocked
I saw
at 1,
that
Aiden Hutchinson being mocked at 1, and God, it's like been a fucking rotation.
Like this year, I mean, I think this year is like the least predictable year that I can remember going into a first round. But as I just said, going into the first round, so now we know the first pick. The draft is getting started, everyone. We appreciate you all for tuning in. We want to let you guys get to the draft, enjoy it.
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube's getting on stage. It's getting real now. So, again, everyone, thanks for watching. Let's hope the Packers kill it tonight. Who the hell knows? It'll probably be something shocking, potentially very saddening, but I hope not. In the meantime, though, make sure to follow Andrew at Mertens_Andrew. You can always find Zach and his breaking news at It's Zachary J. Finally getting used to that. Jen was not able to join us. She had some very important softball duties. I hope her team won. But make sure to follow her at BigMac_4. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at BookofEli_NFL. And at the bottom of the screen, as you can see, make sure to follow Game On Wisconsin at Game On WI and subscribe on Twitter at Game On Wisconsin. Everybody, enjoy the draft. Go Pack Go. We will see you next week for our first reactions.
What you think, Fred? All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just gonna be me and you, or Eli and Zach gonna pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while.
Every now and then we'll kind of.
He was already here right away.
It's kind of what we're used to you attacking us. So
Yeah. that is-
Sorry.
look at.
Let's just put it this way: who do you see as the quarterback